Hi there, today I'm going to be talking about how I record my cover songs, and if you like what I'm doing, then please don't forget to like and subscribe. Sounding a bit like Wings of Pegasus with that one, aren't I? Because he does that at the beginning of all of his videos, doesn't he? Please like and subscribe. So let's not forget that when you get to the recording process, when you've got your cover song or whatever it is that you need to be, that you would like to record, then you can do what I'm suggesting to do, you know, using all the recording gear and various things and stuff like that. But let's not forget that you have to have something that you deem to be worth recording. So practice makes perfect, all of that. Try and balance the guitar volume yourself when you're playing. I hear sometimes people do either sing too loud, guitar's too quiet, or they play the guitar too loudly, which is quite a common one, and then they sing a little bit too quietly. So you've got to try and acoustically balance whatever you're doing or whatever you want to record. So I'm going to try and make this as quick as I possibly can, so that just to give you a bit of an idea of how I recorded it. So obviously I learned the song. You've seen my practice video of which song is this one? Yeah, Please Forgive Me. So the one I released on Tuesday was Please Forgive Me, and that's a David Gray song, and I did a practice video of that one. Now this is how I recorded it. Okay, so over 40 years of messing around with recording processes, and probably starting with the very first Cubase on my computer, which is a DAW. You've probably heard that term thrown around. Digital audio workstation, is it, or something like that? Yeah, I think it is. Anyway, I've just called it DAW. I don't know whether it stands for that, but if it does, it does, and I think it does. So I use Cubase version 10.5, I think it is. Not that that's particularly important. So I have my microphone here, which is a Neuman TLM 107. Nice microphone. I've built my way up from all sorts. I think I had an SC2000 at first, which was quite nice. I like that one. And then I went to a 3500, and then I went and tried a Rode out. I've still got all these microphones. I've got a Rode microphone. I use it for, well, I've got two Rodes if I remember rightly. And that was very good, but I did note I've always wanted, it's one of those things where you always want, you'd like something and try it. And whether it's going to actually make your music sound better is another thing. You don't really know. And then I started doing a little bit of voiceover work, and a friend of mine that did the voiceover stuff with me for my Spanner and Spoon show, he'd got a Neumann microphone, a TLM 102, was it? Something like that. Anyway, so this microphone has got a few different settings, and the good thing I like about this microphone is you can set it into sort of a cardioid pattern, I think they call it, so it picks up from a smaller area around the microphone, which is good because you don't get as much what would you call it, sort of, not feedback, but you don't get any overspill. Oh, well, you still get overspill, but you know when you're playing your guitar and you've got your microphone, and the vocal mic's going to pick up a lot of sound from the guitar, and the guitars, sometimes microphones pick up your singing as well. So I've tried to make it as simple as I possibly can, because what you want is you want to have isolated tracks as much as you can into your DAW. Now, the way I've found works best is by using a direct input from the guitar. So let me just grab my guitar. So this is not an expensive guitar, particularly, not compared to the guitar. I've got quite an expensive guitar floating around, but when I'm recording, I prefer to use my Taylor. Now this is a Taylor Big Baby, which is supposed to be it's a bit of a travel guitar really. Oh, hang on. Like, yeah, getting in the way of the microphone. But this has got an output on the bottom. Now the output on the bottom is quite a nice sound, considering the sort of price range of this guitar. It's not a bad sound, and I like that. But what I also do is I've got a Fishman. The Fishman was actually recommended by Thor and Ashley, from Ashley Campbell and Thor Jensen, and they recommended, because they use these out on the road, and I think I've talked about my Fishman before, but nonetheless, that is it. Okay, so that's a Fishman. It's probably not going to focus very well because these things don't always. Come on, you can do it. You can do it. No, it's not. It doesn't want to focus. It only wants to focus on the face. We'll get there. Anyway, I'll bring it back here. You can probably see. So, okay, it's got two forms of recording. It's got a pickup, which is there. You pick up. It's magnetic, obviously, because there's a bit of metal stuck to it. And it's got a little microphone. Now the microphone points into the bottom, into your guitar. So what we end up with is 3 tracks. So one from the guitar, direct from the Taylor, and 2 tracks from the Fishman pickup. Now that gives you quite a lot of options. So excuse me, but I'm trying to get this technical bit right now, because I think I may be able to switch over to my computer and we may be able to see what I'm talking about. So I shall do that. So give me a second, and here we go, display capture. There you go. So here's my project. Now, as you can see, I'm hoping you can see my mouse moving away merrily. This is my raw recording. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 tracks. One for the vocal, which is my TLM 107. This is the Taylor. This has been picked up from the direct from the guitar. And this is the Fishman pickup. Now I've called that's the pickup and that's the microphone. So that one goes into the guitar, and that one, and that one goes into the pickup from the pickup. Now, to show you my recording interface, let me bring down my recording interface. So as you can see at the moment, I am talking through my Neuman mic, which I've got set up on channel 2, and on here is the Cubase. So this is my output from my Cubase, so I can play music and hopefully record it on OBS. I think, is it OBS or OSB? No, OSB seems to be something that sounds like something else. I think it's OBS. OBS, there you go, that's it. So OBS is just a way to record and get your get the sound in, and that's what this is. So what I've got from a guitar is I've got guitar on track 1. This is what I'd be recording on. I've got my microphone on track 2, and I've got the Fish pickup. I've got something called an Octopre, which is a sort of a optical gadget that plugs into my Apollo Twin. Now the Apollo Twin is my audio interface. So as I said, my guitar plug, and it's only got 2 channels. My Apollo Twin has only got 2 channels, so it can only record 2 sources at a time. So I then plug in my Octopre, which brings my Octopre. There's the 2 channels of my. So there's the 2 channels of my Apollo Twin. It gives it an extra 8 channels. Okay, so these extra 8 channels, these are the ones I use for my drums mostly, but I've also got my Fishman pickup, on this one and the fish mic on the other one. So when I'm recording away merrily, let me just minimize that and get rid of that out of the way. Let's drag it up to the top screen. Off it goes. So I would be recording all four of these in one go at the same time. So let me put my headphones on now so I don't blast you with the sound too much, and we shall see how we go. Okay, so let's turn the volume of that up. That's better. Sound a bit like I'm in a fish bowl, don't I? I think it's just the way that this records, but that's okay. So we have, let's go through some of these individual tracks and try and show you how they're recorded. So I have my guitar fish pickup. If you can see there, that's where I pan it. You know what pan is, left and right, I'm assuming. So I have the Fishman pickup all the way over to the left. I have the Fishman mic all the way over to the right, and I have the Taylor pickup smack bang in the middle. So if we were to listen to just the Taylor on its own, let's have a listen to this. See, let's hope it's not too loud. So that's just the Taylor guitar mic on its own. So if I stop that, and then we'll listen to this will just come out one side, on the left side, and it's got a little bit of reverb on it, if you can hear that as well. Okay, so that's that side. And then if we have a look at this is the Fishman guitar, the microphone that's in the body of the guitar. Obviously this pickup, the Fishman Rare Earth pickup fits onto the guitar, and then we get this. And you can hear a bit of reverb on that as well. Okay, so if we put the two, let's say this is just from the Fishman pickup, so we get both of those tracks going. Let's go back to the beginning, and it sort of balances the sound out, and for me I think it sounds very nice, quite full with just the Fishmans. But if you add the Taylor in, it just gives it a little bit more depth. And the good thing about these microphones being, I say microphones, these are pickups. The one is designed and built into the guitar, obviously, which is the Taylor one that comes with it, and that doesn't really pick up a lot of external noise. It doesn't really pick up too much. And the Fishman guitar pickups are actually designed not to pick up any noise, external noise, and the little microphone is pointing into the guitar itself. So it's an incredibly good way to actually separate the audio, as I said, from the vocal mic. Now if we listen to the vocal mic on its own, so let's mute these three, and then solo that, what you'll hear here is you'll still hear the guitar. I don't know whether you can see these, you should be able to see these, but if I make that a bit bigger, you can see that's when I'm singing. These bits are when I'm singing. Let's have a look. And the bits in between here are where it's picking up the guitar, you see. So we should be able to hear that if we go and listen to this. Let's hope it's not too loud. Please forgive me if I act a little strange. Yeah, it's a bit loud. Hear the guitar? For I know not what I do. Feels like lightning running through my veins. And that sort of proves that there's not that much guitar coming through. It's mostly vocal. I could use a tool called a gate on that if I really wanted to, and what the gate would do is it would only switch the playback of the sound on this channel when the amplitude, which is the volume level really, reaches a certain point. So if you set the volume level just above where the guitar is, it would only switch the sound on when it gets to a peak this big, you see, or there. Well, no, sorry, not there. There, you see. So that's vocal. That bit's vocal, 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 and there's a guitar there. So it would then cut out the guitar. The trouble is with these things, they're all very well and good for, say, drums and things like that, and even maybe guitar if there's a bit of background noise. But when you've got quite a little sensitive sort of vocal, then you can hear, sometimes you can hear, not, you won't get a click as such, but it will sound a bit mechanical, you know, when it switches between the two. So I don't like to do that. And from what I do with this, as it were, to get it to sound how I want to, there's very little done with it really, especially on the guitars. I don't really do too much on the guitars. So let me show you. This is the track properties of the guitar. So on the Taylor, all I've got is EQ, which is, you know, bass, treble, middle, all that sort of stuff. Actually, it's a bit more complicated than that. It's this is like a parametric equalizer type thingy, whatever. It's a standard one that comes with Cubase, but nonetheless, that's all it is. And a compressor. Now, you may already know what a compressor does, but it's sort of a squeezer, really, if you think about it. It sort of squeezes the sound volume so you don't get too much. Well, that's what I use it for anyway, is so you don't get too much of a difference between when you're playing a bit louder and when you're playing a bit softer. It sort of brings it all together. And I use that very lightly. There's very little on that. And then obviously I send. So I see some people when they're messing with these things that put reverbs on the inserts. Now that's not really going to work very well because these are stereo reverbs, so they're set up down here somewhere. There you go. These are all my reverbs. So that means you can send a mono signal, which a guitar is generally it is. Well, a vocal definitely is mono. Guitar, obviously we've got 3 tracks, so you could class this as a stereo signal because that's left, that's right, you know, and that's the way it goes. So, but you generally send this particular track information to the reverb, and you get the reverb sound. So let's try and put these all together. And so we take the solo off that, put the guitar back on. There we go. And then you can hopefully hear the difference. And it's good when I'm actually I'll stop it on this second, but when you actually hear the playing of the guitar, you can hear I'm actually sort of pulling the strings a little bit maybe harder than I would normally. And having a compressor on all 3 of these tracks will reduce the impact of that slightly. So if you was listening to it live, that might well be a bit louder than it is on the recording. You know, where I'm going, I'm doing the hammer-ons, that's what they're called. So do when I'm doing that bit. They would be a bit louder, so this sort of helps me. Also, I've got when I actually record the track, when I record it, that I've also got some inserts in here that will help me with that thing as well. Now there should be inserts. I think they're inserts. Ooh, actually it doesn't look like I have got any inserts. I used to. But inputs, is it? Overview, sends. No, oh, doesn't look like I've got any. Now I used to have inserts on these tracks. Now what they are is sort of vintage style compression built into the recording process. So as I record it, it's been sort of compressed just slightly as it goes into the recording system. So there we go. That's what we got. Please forgive me if I act a little strange. And as you can hear, there's a little bit of reverb. So what have I got on my vocal? This is what I've got on my vocal. I've got a tube compressor, which is an old style compression unit. I've got a maximizer, which just sparkles up the vocal just a slight little bit. And then we've got frequency control, which is just an EQ really, just to give me a little bit of, you know, balance in the sound. Now, when I recorded the Smiths song, I had to adjust this quite a bit because I wanted a slightly different sound. And this is the chamber that I like, which now a chamber is my reverb. So if I was going to play this back and solo the vocal track, what I would do is I'd play the vocal track. For I know not what I do. And I'd mess with this, you see. Feels like lightning running through my veins. So generally, what I find when you're doing... Every time I look at you... When you... This is a common trait of mixing, is that you really... If you're going to apply an effect or reverb or anything to something like this track, then overdo it first so you can actually hear the effect. I see people sort of twiddling these controls very, very gently just to see what's going on, but no, blast it out first so you can hear what it actually does in full power, and then reduce it back to where you actually want it to sit. Now I think that's the same when you're mixing the volumes. So obviously we've got the volume levels of the track here, and I don't have to mess with them too much, but so that's the volume over here. That's pretty much, I've left it as it was for the vocal, and we've got slightly less, well, quite a lot less on the Taylor one, and that one, and that one. Now the thing is that you can see the amplitude on this one is just slightly lower, so I had to put the volume up a little bit higher on there. So when you're all happy, obviously you've got to chop out and get it to the beginning of the track, because this won't be where you recorded. Obviously you'll have probably recorded a bit further on, so you cut out where you started, the version that you actually want to play wanted to actually play, and I drag it back to the beginning. So there's only, there we go, there's only the track that I liked here. The rest of the recording I'll get rid of because it wasn't good enough. And all I do then is I go File, Export, Audio Mixdown, and then that says in the country, but I'll call it Please Forgive Me. Aha, the tapping of keyboards. And then all I do is I press export. Now I've got different ways of exporting it. Now I'm going to master this track now, you see. So, but maybe I'll save that to the next video. I'll do another video and I'll show you how I master it. Now there's a lot of controversy around, so all I do there is export audio, and that's good enough for me to actually listen to it anyway. But there's a lot of controversy about actually, let's get back to my screen, shall we? So there's a bit of controversy about whether you should or you shouldn't record your own well, not record, but do your own mastering. Well, I think they're right. I don't think you should really do your own mastering. However, it depends how long you've been doing it for. And I've done a lot of testing with mastering. My mastering is nowhere near as good as a mastering engineer, but I can't. I mean, like many musicians, I can't really sort of justify or afford to sort of send off the tracks that I do record to a mastering engineer, every one of them. You know, I just can't really do that. On occasion, I have sent tracks to a mastering engineer, and that's because I fancied having a go with it. And to be fair, when they've come back, they aren't a huge lot different to the way I've sort of mastered them, but that's fine. Anyway, so I'll show you a little bit of my mastering next time. So that's a little bit of a sort of an insight into how I put my cover songs together. So if you've enjoyed this video, then let me know. If you want to see how I master, I can run you through that as well. But this is a short video to show you what I do. So thank you very much. Catch you later. Well, on the next video even.